a conflict of interest, Increasingly, you're seeing some of these things coming to play out in the public. As I say, the problems are more emphasized in the public sector than the private sector, but still conflict of interest is there. I mean, it's not unusual for you to find various boards members having relationships with their boards, in different ways, and some of these relationships may not be proper. You may disclose, yes, but if you look at it fundamentally, they may not be the right thing to be done. Weaknesses in consequence management. Consequence management, what do I mean by consequence management? Yes, we do. I'll give you a simple example before I go to the difficult one. Board evaluations. Board evaluations, they're supposed to trigger a reaction from the board. And as you know, the purpose of a board evaluation is really to improve the board and improve the performance of the board members. That's the purpose. So what will happen after board evaluation? There'll be actions, and one of the actions could be capacity building. For the various board members. But there are times when board evaluations actually bring out fundamentally very serious issues, very serious issues that could also do with ethical conduct or could do with competency. So if every year you're coming up with the same issues relating to probably maybe a particular director, what should be happening? You're saying the worst case scenario of board evaluation is that somebody should be censored, a director should be censored, either given an opportunity. If they don't improve in the next 1 year, action is taken. But you'll find that consequence management is never really done, because many board members don't want to be seen as being harsh on the director, so they'll accommodate underperforming directors for a long time, without taking appropriate action. Obviously, they're saying, okay, the time is limited, so the problem will sort itself out. But if this is year one and somebody has got a 6-year term, then there's a problem. And consequence management is also very clear when it comes to the public sector. I mean, where things have happened in an institution, things have gone wrong, the public has lost money, and the culprits are known. What happens, I mean, it's the public domain what happened at KEMSA recently. Something went wrong. Somebody dropped the ball. Is it the board that dropped the ball? Is it the senior management? Were the systems and procedures, not good enough? Whatever it is, bottom line is something happened that should not have happened, and somebody should have taken the flak for that. Has it happened? Sometimes the public sector, what happens is that somebody gets transferred from this ministry to another ministry, from this role to another role, or they just let off, and the issue dies off there. So consequence management to me is something that we need to think about very, very seriously. So these are some of the things I'm seeing as being a problem in our boards, and also issues of risk management. Granted, yes, there's quite a bit of that being done now, but you still find there isn't much emphasis on proactively managing risks in the organization. The risk management function is still not very well resourced. If you compare to the internal audit, the risk management function is not seen as critical as the internal audit function. So that's one of the areas also that I find lacking. So what can be done? These are just a couple of suggestions that I have got before I open this webinar to discussions. I think we must look at the way we appoint our directors. We must follow our charters. The skills matrix that we come up with, we must follow it. You must be strict about who comes on the board. We must make sure that even if the board, the legal instrument setting up the institution, gives certain positions on the board to certain institutions, those institutions must be very clearly instructed that, for the person to be appointed as a board member, these are the qualifications, these are the qualities that we require. So yes, you can select somebody from whatever, you can select whatever person you want from your group, but these are the qualities that we want to see, in terms of qualifications, in terms of leadership qualities, so that the person joining the board, although nominated by a different institution and a different body, they also meet the expectation of the board. So the process of appointing board directors really has to improve. I know some years back there was a suggestion around having advertisements, for board positions for the public sector. That proposal was made by some committee that was set up by was it called the Parastatal Reform Commission or something like that? It came up with some very good recommendations around how we can make sure that we're getting the right board members, a very independent process. Advertise, make sure, indicate the criteria, people apply, get somebody independent to interview them, and then come up with board members. But it was never saw the light of day. So that is one area that I think is critical. We need to look at how we appoint board members. And I know there's some other issues that come to play, especially on the public sector. But really, if you're looking at making our institutions effective, we need to delink politics from performance of our public institutions. I talked about consequence management. I think we need to be a lot more tougher on consequence management in terms of performance of boards. And then culture within organizations, the boards need to lead in this way. Culture is very, very critical in terms of the performance of institutions. So the board must have a lot of emphasis on embedding good cultural norms within the businesses. Again, the issues of qualifications. Should we have a minimum qualification to be a director? Should that be legislated? I know there's an attempt that was made by IOD, to try and just professionalize this aspect of being a director, because you're leading a huge institution, you're given a lot of responsibilities, but there's no really minimum qualifications to be a director. Anybody really can be a director as it is now. So should it be legislated? That is something I want to put out there for us to have a conversation around. Yeah, so those are some of the things I just wanted to share with the participants here. As I said, a lot of us here on this webinar are experts in governance, and we really want to see how we can help each other to improve governance in our institutions. What ideas can we share? How can we improve? How can we assist some of these institutions like IOD in this important agenda they have in terms of professionalizing this role of a board director? And generally, how can we make our institutions better and therefore achieve the mandate that they've been set out to do? Yeah, so that's how I'd like to end that, and I'd like to open it up to discussions now. If you can have some comments, some suggestions from members. I'm told here some mics are on, please switch them off. I think probably that is to IOD, maybe that's been done now. Yeah, so let's open that up. Anybody would like to make contributions? Let's maybe structure our conversations around how we get people appointed to boards, both in the public sector and in the private sector. What do you see as the challenges there, and what are your suggestions in terms of improving that particular process? I can see two hands. I'll start with Dr. Edward Kobuthi, and then I'll go to Lucas Maranga.
Yeah.
So Edward, the floor is yours.
Thank you, sir. Sorry, I joined 5 minutes late, so I don't know. I didn't get to know your name, but it was a good presentation. My name is Dr. Edward Kobuthi. I'm also a friend of IOD. I've also trained for ILD. I wanted to make two comments from what you've said. I want to agree with you that boards that are competitively recruited make a difference. I'm privileged to be sitting in one of the Parastatal boards that was done through a competitive process and parliamentary vetting, or this sort of constitutional one. I was sitting in another one that that does it through appointment, and the two boards are like day and night in terms of punctuality, debate in terms of interactions, and also in terms of the debate during the board discussions. They're way apart, day and night. So that is something that I would really think would be the right way to go, especially for a lot of public Parastatal boards. You also mentioned something about certain organizations that are asked to nominate board members. I know, like, for example, the Law Society of Kenya, ISPAC, and certified, and the secretaries are also asked to nominate members. Unfortunately, they nominate a clique. They don't open up to their membership. So it's like this is a preserve of the officials. I'm not saying they're not qualified, but I think it would be nice if, for example, if a board wanted a certified secretary, and you approach the certified secretaries of Kenya, it should be open to all the members who feel they're eligible. So there should be a process in that one. My third comment is about board evaluation. Again, because I've started in 2 parastatal boards, the tool that Mwangoso has, it was a very good beginning. I think it now needs to be improved because it's still not fairly, it's not very objective. For example, it will not capture things of punctuality. So the statements that are captured is more of a statement. It's very subjective. That's what I like to make my comments at that point. Then my very final one. I also teach governance, and I've taught at master's level. But 3 years ago, I stopped. I declined to teach the corporate governance class because I think I gave a question, and some of them went copying for these master students. I think most of the training sessions that we are having, corporate governance, even the one for the CG, it's purely to say I've been trained in this area, as opposed to I've been trained in this area and have the knowledge in that area. We need to completely rethink how that is going to work. Then you spoke about King 4 and ethics. Maybe we need to rethink. Do you need to teach governance, or should you not be teaching ethics? And that's more of a culture as opposed to straight learning. Thank you. Those are my comments.
Thank you, Edward. So some very, very powerful comments there. We shall come back to the issue of ethics at some point before we finish. Thanks very much. Lucas, do you want to make your contributions?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Stephen. Wonderful contribution there. Lucas Maranga is my name. I'm a member of IOD for about 2 years now. Just two things. Number one is just an observation about the importance of that minimum qualifications of a director. I'm a golfer, I play golf, and quite a number, and having served in golf management in this country, I've interacted with quite a number of golf clubs, and that thing of boards and the qualifications of those directors has shown glaringly in terms of the good performance or the opposite of that in golf. So I'm just trying to see if there's a way we could also bring that in that area, but that's a conversation maybe I'll take offline with IOD. But the one that is close to my heart, which you ended up with, which I liked, is like, how do we get onto boards? I remember being a new member in this space, and a young board member in terms of experience. There's a level of frustration where it feels, as someone mentioned, like it's a big boys club. And is board succession a good thing that should be cultivated in organizations, such that you have fresher, maybe younger board members who have the heart to serve to come in? Because there seems more closed gates than open windows to get through. So is there a way that those of us who want to grow our board experience can position and even upskill to get onto boards and serve both private and public sector? Thank you.
Yes, Lucas, that question is something that I'd like to hear contributions from the other participants here. Yeah, as much as there's been improvement in terms of the transparency of appointing members, there's still that aspect. I mean, most of us will agree that the board positions we've been holding, somebody called you. Somebody told you, by the way, you'll be interested in serving on this particular board. So people like Lucas probably don't know those other somebodies. Then how do they get to those positions? I think it's a very, very valid question. And I'd like to hear from some of the experienced board members here also. Let's move on to Johnson Zomo.
Thank you, Steve, for that excellent presentation. My name is Johnson Zomo. I'm a member of IOD and various other institutions. Mine is to contribute to the area of challenges. In my participation in boards, one of the biggest challenges I've found is on the issue of independence of directors. Sometimes we all know that, to join a board, you are normally nominated by somebody who has an interest in that firm, could be a principal shareholder or another person, another body that is interested. And I think then you go into a company that is also established under certain legal framework, and which has also various stakeholders. And I think when we get into this board, sometimes we want to be looking back at the interests of the person who appointed us. And in some cases, they may be in conflict. So as an independent director, I think there need to be more emphasis on what role you need to do to play so that at least your independence comes out very clearly, and you know that you are serving the interests of the institution that you're being appointed to, and not really the interests of the shareholder. I think I've found that to be a serious challenge. And sometimes even some of the, strong shareholders would even threaten to remove you from the board if you are not representing their interests, wherever, even sometimes when their interests are in conflict with the interests of the institution. So that is my contribution, Steve.
George, I think you're raising a very fundamental issue. And when you talk about independence, it's very easy to imagine that because you're an independent director, you're actually independent. But independent is really a matter of mind. And just like ethics, you cannot legislate independence. And that's where it really boils down to you as a person, George. When you make those decisions, are they in the best interest of the institution, or are you being persuaded by other interests? So it's a very, very personal thing. Independence is a very personal thing. All right, William, Dr. Ogara.
Yes.
How are you? Nice to meet you.
Thank you. I'm okay, sir. I just want to add on to what John's. I'm a member of the Institute of Directors. And Steve, you recall in a Center for Corporate Governance, one of the issues that we would bring on the floor is one of groupthink. And I thought that it was just theory. It's not theory. You get into a board and you find colleagues who are supposed to think very objectively. And all of a sudden, it's like we get bewitched in the boardroom. They say things which are not right, things which will not work, just because of groupthink. They just say, as the chair has already said, and yet they're appointed to bring critical thinking. This is an area that really is killing a number of our boards. Thank you.
Very true. William, that groupthink thing, yes. And especially if the chair is very powerful. If you're an independent director, you've got to be tough, you've got to be strong. Otherwise, you end up just being like the others. Let's hear from June Kivinda.
Hi, Steve.
Hi, June. It's been a while.
Very much so. I'm so happy to see you here today.
Nice to see you too, June.
And hello, everybody who is participating in today's webinar. My comments are two. And one is, these days I begin to ask myself, is knowledge really power? I think application of that knowledge is power. And as you have alluded already, Steve, there are so many courses, many trainings that we undertake. But whatever we learn from there, do we apply it? And I've not gotten an answer as to why is it some individuals do apply the knowledge they get and others do not. Now, previous speakers have just said, like now that has come up where an individual starts sitting with a group. And I have sat in boards where when you are an independent director, you get punished for it. And the thing is, in boards, there are mechanisms on how to treat independent thinkers. So that is another area that I find challenging. And I really don't know how, as we move forward, we can affect and impact on behavior, such that now when we bring individuals into the board, we are aware of what is going to happen at the end of the day. Another tool that is used when dealing with appointment of directors is what we call the nomination committee. And sometimes we find that already the rules and the way forward has been stipulated in that committee. Therefore, when they go out looking for the nominations, what's brought on the table is of low quality, sorry to say. And that's where the competencies and incompetencies come out. So these are areas that as we move in with how to bring directors on board, it is now a matter of the knowledge we get, do we apply it? Thank you.
Thank you, June. Indeed, that is a very valid comment. It's application of that knowledge. As I said, governance issues have been with us for the last 20, 30 years. But are we getting that return? I mean, are we applying that knowledge that we've got all this time? Elizabeth Chengo.
Good morning, all, and thank you so much. I think this is a very, very relevant and interesting discussion. Board effectiveness is key, especially at this VUCA environment. And we ask ourselves in the context of Kenya, with the level of corruption and everything, and the relevant questions as to really, is this thing working? And if not, what do we do? I'd like your points on weaknesses in consequences management, and especially if you have a CEO who is very strong, or even the chairman may be brought into the management team, it becomes very, very difficult. And I just want to throw a spanner in the works by sharing a little bit of a research I read by a biologist from Australia on the psychological human condition. We've put in a lot of regulations and these codes of conduct, and they don't seem to be extremely, very effective. Of course, they're helping, but if we are to progress this way, how long will it take for us really to achieve what we want? It's very well stipulated in the Mwongozo Code of Conduct, and externally, where they borrowed a lot from the external context. So he says that there is really the psychological human condition, which cannot be regulated. And so we may need to focus on changing, and you talked about culture, on changing the individual mindset. The individual mindset. So in a nutshell, it then zeroed into a mindset condition. And he gave examples of bonobos. And research showed that bonobos really 99% genes similar to human. And, they're able to live together, they share and all that. But this competitive aggressiveness, meanness, wanting to have everything he says is a condition we adopted from our parents, Adam and Eve, and that we need to really be more aware of ourselves and deal with changing our mindset because externally it will be very difficult, So I think when you talk about ethics, I just thought about that. My name is Elizabeth Chengo. I'm a director in IOD, and I want to appreciate all of you for your great contribution and attendance. God bless you.
Elizabeth, you're raising fundamental issues here. Changing a human being is very, very difficult. You are conditioned over many, many years. So by the time you get into that boardroom, you got some set values, some set behaviors. So just to change that is really challenging. And yet we're saying that's where the problem is. When you go into that boardroom, if you call yourself an independent director, indeed you have to be independent in terms of the decisions you're making, in terms of the actions you're taking. So again, very important contributions. My friend Francis Asuna.
Thank you, Steve. My name is Francis Asuna. I'm a member of IOD and also in corporate governance, the institute there. I'm also a member there. Now, three things to me. The issue of continuous professional development. So many
Francis, we've lost you.
I got disrupted. Am I still on?
Yes, sir, we can hear you now, Francis.
Yeah, I'm saying institutions do not take issues of continuous professional development for directors well. So I think this is something we need to be addressed, because sometimes you go to an institution, they say that you are competent, that's why you're brought on board. So we don't need to train you all continuously. So that is an issue, is a challenge which really has to be addressed. And of course, like you find some institutions, even pay for the directors to be members, even like at IOD, but other institutions don't see that the need. So I think this is something which really needs to be addressed. Issue number 2 is the issue of course, I must reflect on the Institute of Directors bill, which went down. And I think it's high time now we as call it as IOD or corporate governance professionals do a courtesy call even to the highest level, the presidency, even to the CS, a real courtesy call so that we say we are here and we mean well, so that, you know, these guys know that, corporate governance professionals are not an opposition, but they mean well to the government, so that all these things which we are saying, the framework is there, but if it is not appreciated by the government, then nothing happens. Number 3 is the issue of checks and balances. So we are members of IOD. Some of us are members of Center of Corporate Governance, where I also chair the network. And of course, sometimes you find we have issues wherever we are. But I think there should be a reporting mechanism such that when some of these issues are reported, if I'm a member of IOD, then of course, there's a way in which there's a correction can be done, or there's a way in which even if remedial kind of support can be done. So I think those 3 things, for me, I think they would be key. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Francis. Thank you so much for those contributions. I'm aware we need to finish by 9, so I'll allow just very brief comments, first starting with Dr. Jimmy Mwithi.
Thank you very much for the good presentation and the good reactions. I think I would like to say that what really matters for me is the tone at the top, whether it's in the public sector or the private sector. Because if you look at board appointments, we've spoken here very well. People have said you need qualifications and you need to add value. Are you coming to add value to that institution? So the tone at the top is very critical for me. I've seen recently LSK has gone to court to say that a former governor is not fit to be appointed in a certain institution. And again, that is the tone at the top. Is it right? So we've also seen, I think recently, the PS of the Treasury said you have about 260 parastatals, and most of them are actually bleeding financially. They are bleeding financially. So are we going to get cronies there if we want to save these parastatals? If you look at KQ for an example, KQ has been bleeding for the longest, and you'll find probably cronies are put there. Are they going to add value? And so the tone at the top is very important, because if the person, whether in public sector, wants to reform these institutions, then he will put the right people there, but not cronies who go there, because he has the power to appoint. He has the power to appoint. So if you look at governance, again, governance talks about transparency. It talks about participation. It talks about rule of law. It talks about equality and all these good things. But if the person at the top is not a person of integrity and a professional, then it's going to affect both public and private sector. And we'll have little to do really. People who are the non-executive directors who join these institutions, because the tone at the top is not right. So the tone at the top has to be corrected. Thank you very much.
Yes, indeed. You're talking about the whole aspect of leadership. And actually, in my conclusion, I was going to talk about leadership. If you are the chairman of a board, remember we are saying a board is made up of equals, but I can tell you the chairman makes a very, very big difference in terms of how effective that body is. The issues around independence, issues around culture, a lot sits on the shoulders of the chairman. Let's listen to Caroline Kuria, and then Stephen, and then we shall end up with Dr. Kibo.
Thank you
Caroline?
very much.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Steve.
Thank you, and then Stephen. Caroline first,
I'll-
yeah. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I was raising the point that one of the participants, Lucas, mentioned about board appointment. I feel that this is a place where IOD can help, especially for the young aspiring board people, in terms of having organizations, whereas and when they approach you, that you're able to share these positions, especially the ones that probably they would want to advertise. So I feel that IOD could help us with that space. The other area is on board training. I feel there's still that place of later people being trained and later they're able to apply, just like the Johari window, that there's that part that you do not know, you don't know. But as you go for the trainings, then it keeps exposing you and then you're able to apply. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Caroline. I know there's somebody from IOD here, and I know we do have in IOD, we do have that particular facility of a director search. Anybody from IOD who wants to make a comment on that director search facility?
Yes, thank you, Mr.
yeah.
Stephen. Thank you, Ms. Caroline Correa, for your question. It's one of the benefits that our directors are supposed to enjoy, and we do offer such kind of services depending with the demand in the market. So we get such requests, so we try our best to ensure that we give out, we give the opportunity to directors, and we hope that when we get this opportunity once again, we shall reach out to young directors, because one of the challenges that we get when clients are requesting for these services, they tend to have a specific criteria in terms of age, in terms of background. So we tend to be guided by that criteria. But thank you very much. We shall look into that and to give such kind of opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go to Stephen, and then we shall end with Dr. Kibo. Stephen Malakwen.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. My name is Stephen Malakwen, and I'm a member of IOD, and also a member of the Institute of Human Resources, where I have also sat as the Vice National Chairman in the Council, and also a member of the Association of Professional Societies in East Africa. This is a very good engagement, IOD and the facilitator, Steve. I do agree with all the directors what I've said, but I want to make only one comment. You know, board members provide the oversight in the running of institutions. The executives are the ones who execute the mandate of the institution as guided by the board members and the charters that govern those institutions. The main problem, in my experience in the public sector for the last 19 years, and also in the private sector for 8 years or so, is that it boils down to two things: interests and integrity. The government, as it is, and government institutions are well guided. They have the best policies, but the problem is implementation. And what affects those implementation are the interests that board members and the executives have. So they are not able to effectively run those institutions because of the vested interest that they have. And this is affected, and this is as a result of their level of integrity. I know there are institutions like ESCC. When you are applying for a position in the public service and public sector in general, they say you seek clearance from institutions, one of them being ESCC. And if you look at that form, it is so guiding that nobody will always say yes to those structured questions. So I think, in my view, there is need for a new way of vetting board members and also executives and even senior management in state corporations and in public institutions, so that the system that is employed is able to yield proper results. And I would recommend this way. As IOD, I think we need to see ways and means of how we can have a say in that, because if we leave it to other bodies like the lead ministry, for instance, if they want board members for Ministry of Agriculture, for instance, the Ministry of Agriculture have more say in who are to be the directors. So I think if we move as IOD and seek more recognition from government to a level that we are a body that is mandated to do the vetting of directors and even senior executives, then I think we will be making a major breakthrough in this endeavor. So that is what I would suggest, that we see ways and means of how we can get more recognition to have a say on who is going to have to be appointed as a director of any institution. I know IOD have said if they get requests, but who will request you? So I think what we need to do, this is our country, we pay taxes, and we need to see how institutions that we support, some of our contributions, are run. Thank you.
I think through the chair, if I can just comment, just add my voice on the response from our staff. Thank you so much. Is that we hear your concerns, and the board is working around it in repositioning the institution to give us the muscles to even have discussions with the relevant partners in regard to all the things that you are requesting to. So you may have noted that we're inviting you into a very serious training that's opening us to the East African region. That is all in line with, and I think those who attended last meeting, our chairman spoke on it at length. So there are a lot of efforts going towards achieving that. Otherwise, thank you so much for your feedback. Thank you.
Yeah, Elizabeth, thank you for that additional information to the directors. And thank you, Stephen. Your comments are very valid, and Elizabeth, being a director, she's taken note of them. So I want us to close with the comments from Dr. Okibo.
Thank you so much. I hope I'm audible enough. Yeah, my name is Mr. Dr. Okibo. As you've heard, I have a few comments to make, but I'm happy that whatever I wanted to say has been posted forward by a number of people. Francis Suna mentioned the same, Dr. Chimis mentioned the same, and Stephen has mentioned the same. But and again, the response that has come from IOD, that's great. We appreciate the help that you are trying to put in forward. But I'm just trying to impress this and emphasize over the same that indeed, IOD, the team at IOD office have done a wonderful job. But besides that, IOD is a sleeping giant. Many organizations have started, many bodies have started, and they seem to be very small and they don't have much impact, but because of the voice that they are getting out there and the way they are approaching things, they have gone way very far. The issues that we've deliberated from morning from the presenter who talked about professionalism and other issues that are very critical and affecting the boards are issues that we as the members of the IOD should lead the nation to solve. We should be the people now guiding the nation on the aspects of board governance, and basically even the nation. Anytime we talk about board governance, nobody should think outside IOD. They should, first of all, before they start thinking of any other person from elsewhere, it should be a chance given to IOD. I believe we need to speak louder. We need to have many forums. We need to approach the government by whichever means, so that we can be felt. It is basically a sleeping giant from my point of view. Thank you.
Elizabeth, you've heard IOD is a sleeping giant, and I do agree entirely. I know the board of IOD tries to ensure that they do exactly what Dr. Okibo was talking about in terms of value proposition to the membership. It's been a journey. If you look at where IOD was and where it is now, there's a lot of achievement. And I believe there's a lot more that IOD can do. And, you know, probably in the strategy, they must be having certain actions to talking to what Dr. Kiba has just mentioned. So I'd like to end the session. It's 9 o'clock now. I wish we had more time to engage. I'm sure there are a lot of other people that would like to contribute. But thank you very much for your contributions. My parting shot will be in terms of leadership. We are all leaders here, and as I said, if you are a chairman of the board, you carry a bigger weight on your shoulders to ensure the culture of that board is right and the aspect of independence. As much as we cannot legislate it, but I think if you're a good leader, you can emphasize that fact and also give space to the directors to exercise their independence. You know, don't always be the one to give direction. So the issue of independence, and for the young directors, Lucas, Carol, be out there, you know. I hope you're active on LinkedIn, you know, do stuff on LinkedIn. I see a lot of people now going on LinkedIn, not just look for senior members, but also to look for board members. So if you're active there, you got a good CV, you really increase your chances of getting noticed and maybe being appointed to a board. So with those remarks, I'd like to say thank you very much to all the participants. Thank you very much for your participation. And we look forward to seeing you in the future webinars. And at this point, can I hand it over back to IOD to close the session?
Thank you very much, Mr. Stephen Lugalia. Thank you so much, directors, for your time and for your questions. Before we close, I'll just keep you up to speed with the upcoming events that we have this month. We have our Governance Summit, our first ever Governance Summit that will be happening on 22nd and 23rd June at Serena Hotel. Thank you very much for those who have confirmed that they will attend, and thank you also for those who have sent their apologies. And if you haven't gotten any information, kindly write to us so that you can share with you more information regarding the Governance Summit. And also on our next webinar will be on 27 June. It will be an exciting webinar. Please on the watch. The topic will be leading boardrooms through disruption and what directors should know. And this will be led by Mr. Peter Crow. Please, directors, I'll request you to also make sure you join into this one as well. And without further ado, I'll allow Director Elizabeth Chikol to close the session for us. Otherwise, thank you so much, directors. Once again, I'll share the recording to everyone. And we apologize once again for the inconvenience. I know we had said that the meeting will start at 9 a.m., but we started it a little bit earlier. But I think going forward, I think starting 8 a.m. is also good, but I'll be guided by that. Director Elizabeth Chengo, I invite you to close our meeting and have a great day ahead, directors. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
To our speaker, we seriously appreciate you. God bless you so much. And to all the directors, the management team, we appreciate your great work. Let us pray. Father, in the name of Jesus, we want to thank you for each one of us. We want to thank you for this great organization, Institute of Directors. We want to thank you, oh God, even that for the challenges that we encounter, because those are the ones that will make us even stronger. We want to thank you for the strategy that we have, oh God, to serve these wonderful people. We pray that, Lord, even as we continue discussing, we shall make a great way, oh God, even to achieving and impacting this nation. We know we have a lot of leadership challenges, and I pray that you're going to use us as your vessels to penetrate and change and bring transformational impact in this country, not just in this country, but globally, even as we partner with other institutions out there. Father, we want to commit everything to you, and we want to appreciate for this far you brought us. For it is in Jesus' name we pray, believing. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. And have a good day.
Have a good day, all of you.
Have a great day ahead.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.